Okay, so brutal truth number one is when you start, you'll have an extremely massive knowledge gap. This happens when you start anything, but it is incredibly frustrating in filmmaking. You see people posting content, you're watching content all the time, and you're trying to figure out how you can get your content to be as good as that content. And the truth is, it just takes time. You have to invest so much time, so much energy, watch lots of content, learn about it, go out and actually film, produce that work, and keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And over the last 3 years, what I've realized is filmmaking is problem solving. That knowledge gap that you have exists across many different factors. It might be a method of filming, it might be a method of editing, it might be a technique in editing. But over time, you learn these little techniques, and all of a sudden, what might take you 2 hours to do, you can do in half an hour. And it's all about going through the process of solving those problems, whether that's editing, whether that's filming. But these things that you learn over time, these problems that you solve, will eventually make you a better filmmaker. And on this channel, that is exactly what I'm trying to do, is give you those insights of those problems that I've overcome and learned. My biggest bit of advice would be embrace that frustration that you have when you can't do something, because that means that you're going to progress. If you're frustrated by something because you don't have a solution for it, that means that it gives you an opportunity to go and find that solution. And as soon as you've done it once, you have that weapon in your arsenal to attack whatever new video project you're working on. So brutal truth number two is your bank balance will be hurt before it will be hefty. Getting better gear and getting more expensive gear isn't going to make you a better filmmaker, but having the gear that is of a certain quality enables you to charge more for your work. When you first start as a filmmaker, often people don't have a lot of money, and to get a comprehensive collection of gear together is a hell of a wedge to fork out. The brutal truth is, if you want to own your own gear so you can use it regularly and at your own discretion, you're going to have to spend a decent amount of money on it. However, don't look at it as just pure cost. It's not, it's an investment. It's an investment in yourself, it's an investment in your craft, it's an investment in your video production business. When I started this business with my pal Connor, we were both working shitty jobs. Whenever we did a video job where we were getting a few quid here and there, not really very big bucks, we used it and reinvested that back into getting better equipment. But 3 years down the line, we've created a comprehensive collection of high quality audio and video equipment. And because of that, in parallel to that first point of building those skills over time and building that collection of gear, we now have a comprehensive collection of things in terms of our skill set and our equipment, and it means we can charge a lot more for what we do. And then that bank balance hurt that you had in the first place starts to make sense, and over time it's worth its while. But don't expect to spend a load of money, all of a sudden be the greatest filmmaker ever because you've got a nice camera, and make all that money back straight away. It takes time. Okay, brutal truth number three is, no matter how smart you work, you will always have to work hard. Now, I'm a big believer in working smart, being efficient, being effective. The more video projects you do, the more you grow a business, the more demands there are of your time. Now, you can find efficiencies in everything that you do. You can become more efficient creating legal documents. You can become more efficient creating web proposals, in your editing workflow, in the filming that you do, in the planning that you do ahead of filming. But even if you do all of those things, the brutal truth of this industry is it takes a lot of your time. You're often having to travel to different places, and that's going to mean getting up early and traveling off, and might not mean that you're going to get back till late. Often you might have to work on a weekend to go and film something. But if you've got project deadlines that are coming to a head, you're going to have to sacrifice that weekend and do a little bit of work. But it's not all doom and gloom. If you want to be a filmmaker and you love this craft, it won't feel like work. Yes, it will be tiring, but the fact that you get to produce films and it's a passion and a love makes it all worthwhile, and it means when it comes to putting in that extra bit of work, it never bothers me. So the lesson here is just make sure that you're ready for it and make sure that you're passionate about it, because it is going to require hard work. Okay, brutal truth number 4 is you have to learn to become willing to kill your babies. So that might sound more sinister than it actually is. What I mean by this is when you start off as a filmmaker, what often happens is you're controlling the project from top to bottom. You're working with a client to understand what they want, you're creating a proposal for them, you're doing the pre-planning for it, you're going out and filming it, you're editing it, and then you're delivering it. So all through that process, you have a clear understanding of what exactly the video is going to look like, and you have a vision for it, and you've worked with the business to create that vision. But filmmaking requires collaboration. All the best films that have ever been made have not been made by one person. It requires a collection of experts that are good at different things and work together to make it the best it can be. And what happens is if you have an idea, it can evolve, it can change, and people can have their input into it. So you might have an idea that you start with, but then what happens is you go out and film, but you're working with other people that are filming, and they might see something that you don't. And then when you get into the editing suite, you can relay how you want an edit to look, but ultimately you don't want to be there watching every single second of the edit. And truthfully, you're working with brilliant editors that have their own flair and sauce and can probably do things that you can't do. So when you're working as a filmmaker to start with, you have that control top to bottom. But when you grow a team and when you do bigger projects, it requires more people, and you have to be willing to not hold on to that original idea and understand that it can change and evolve over time. And that's a good thing. What's the point in having a great collection of creative people with their inputs if you're not going to listen to it and allow them to develop the idea that you had in the first place? So there you have it. You have to kill your baby. But understand, a newer, better baby will be born in replace of your original baby. Okay, brutal truth number 5 is that there is a lot of legal bullshit to sort out when you run a business. Whether that means getting permits, getting licenses, doing your business taxes, personal taxes, setting up a contract with a client, setting up contracts for staff, sorting lease agreements for new premises. The list goes on for days. But the brutal truth is, there's no two ways about it. If you want to own a business, you want to operate a business, you want to become a videographer, become a filmmaker, and create a video production business, you are going to have to overcome those hurdles at some point. But my biggest bit of advice here is legal stuff always sounds scary. And it might sound easy to say, but just don't be scared of it. Contracts are there to protect you and protect whoever you're doing business with. They might look scary, but all it is an agreement. It's an agreement between you and another party of how you're going to have a relationship and what you're going to do for one another. And when you boil it down to that, it's not that scary. Okay, and then final one, brutal truth number 6 is growing a team is some scary shit. When you have people on a team, you're responsible for their livelihoods. You're responsible for whether they're going to be able to eat and pay their bills. And that is pressure. When you grow a team of people out, it requires your time and attention to coach and work with those people to give them the best chance of success. You essentially become almost a bit of a career parent to try and help people develop and be the best that they can be. But it also requires you to be responsible in taking the burden of the pressure of the business. As you grow a business, there's more opportunities out there, but there's also more challenges that are faced. And it's your responsibility to almost cocoon your team of that pressure. The last thing you want to be doing is offloading your stress and worries onto people that you work with. I've experienced working in a business firsthand as an employee where the leader of that business was constantly stressed, anxious, worried, and just every day putting that on a collection of people. And what happens is it just makes everyone feel like pure shit. So the brutal truth of growing a business is you need to be able to absorb that pressure, have the resilience to take it, despite the fact that that pressure is on you. All right, people, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. All these things make a really big difference. I'd love you forever if you'd do that for me. But for now, take it easy. Thanks for listening to my little rant here, and have a good rest of your weekend.